Alright, so actual useful Swagrid cubing video. This is going to be a guide on what I think are the useful winter variation cases. Winter variation in full isn't really a good idea, but there are some cases that can come in useful. And at the end, I'm also going to run over another cool trick that I like to use in solves, which is knowing when you're going to get a sune and what angle it's going to be at. But anyway, let's just jump into winter variation. So the angle that I'm going to use for recognizing this is having the pair in the front like this. This case I consider to be the most quintessential because it's just a skip. And it's just important to be able to recognize that. The way that I recognize this here, we have this big block on back, these two are oriented, and then this corner is misoriented, but it doesn't create a line. Like if we had it misoriented in the other direction, we would have this, where it creates like one uniform line across here, but we don't, we have what looks more like an arrow, and that is just a skip. And then this is the other skip case, the other three mover, although it's a little less obvious to a lot of people because it's not the standard insert that skips. This is actually cancelling into that sune. So if you see, when we insert we have a sune case, right? But if we just do it R, U prime, R prime, R, U, R, we just undo those moves. So you recognize that you have one line across here with headlights at the back. You line those headlights up with the block in here to create this really long bar, and then it's RU to R prime. The next case that I think is one of the most important ones is this, because it's super easy to recognize and a really easy alg to learn. You've probably figured out how to recognize this already. Everything is oriented on top, and the way the alg looks like this. But let me just explain that alg for a second. So you know this type of pair, right? You have two different types of pair. This is one most of the RUR insert. What we're doing is we're breaking up this pair into that type of pair while taking out the front left pair. So we break this pair up, then we solve it with U2 and insert, and then we just need to put this pair back. So we undo the U2 and undo the L move at the start. So L prime U2 to break up and set up RUR, then undo with U2L. This case is another super easy one. Here we just have headlights on the left, and the alg for this is just sexy move into regular insert. This is the next case here. I think of it as a split bar, because if this corner was swapped with this one, you would have this bar across here, but instead it's up here, so it's kind of a split bar. The alg for this is R2, D, R prime, U prime, R, D prime, R2. The way that I think of this alg is we bring this block up, we move part of the D layer to be below that block so that we can use the stuff back here. RU R prime to build this big block here. D layer back. Solve. This next case is the regular bar case, so instead of being split up, it's just one long bar across here. The alg is as such. It's fairly easy to remember because what you're actually doing is a sledgehammer, but it gets interrupted by an unsexy before the last move. Here we do the first three moves of sledgehammer, but before the last move we do an unsexy, and then we do the last move of the sledgehammer. Okay, moving on, we have this case which is kind of similar to one of the three movers, but we have a different headlights. So we have this bar across here and headlights on left. What we're going to do is we're going to bring the headlights to be facing towards us. L prime, unsexy, L. This winter variation is also useful. You can recognize it because it looks like you have a sune here. This pair, you bring this pair up here, R, U prime, R prime, and then it's a U2 insert. This winter variation is also particularly useful. It looks like you have headlights are back here, or like if this corner was twisted, like you have the shape of the pi OCLL. And what it actually is cancelling into the pi OCLL. Notice here, if we were to do the OCLL, but instead of a U2, we just do a U, we end up with this case. So we just cancel into the alg with RU, then continue as normal. Alright, so winter variation is nice, but there's more things that we can do. If we can know which sune we're going to get and what AUF it's going to be at, then we can basically just cancel into OLL, right? This case is relatively easy to recognize. It's misoriented corners and they're all going around in a circle like this. And if it's facing in this direction, use insert and it's a U prime intisune. If you get a bar case that looks like the L unsexy L alg that we did earlier, except this corner's facing the wrong direction, well, that's a U2. I can't do sunes today. This case is a little rough to recognize. You have headlights on the right, and this corner back here is facing out. That's an insert into a U, which is always nice because it's just nice. Alright, well that covers it for sunes. What about anti-sune prediction? If you have headlights on left, and this corner is facing out the back here, you insert into U prime. If you have what looks like the broken line case from earlier, except this corner is facing out to the back, it's an insert, then you can do U into back sune. And finally, if you get what is basically the PIO-CLL, here let me set it up. If you get what is basically the PIO-CLL, then you just insert, and you can cancel this into a back sune here because it's already there. So you can go straight into the back sune. But wait, there's more last slot tricks. We haven't even talked about inserting with U2 instead of U prime. Look, if it looks like you have the PIO-CLL, do U, R, U2, R prime. Then you can just do a U move into sune. And this trick exists for anti-sune cases too. Look, headlights on the left, arrow facing U, U, R, U2, R prime, then U into back sune. And finally, if you get the case that looks like the L unsexy winter variation, but this corner is misoriented, well, U are U2, you can go straight into back sune. You can cancel that one too. Now, of course, I'm an idiot, and in a real solve I would do something like that, but let's push over that. Let's push over that. So that's just some cool built pair last slot tricks that I like to use. If you want to see more last slot tricks here and there that maybe don't involve a built pair, let me know in the comments. I'll get around to that eventually.